Unbelievable twist, billionaire boss discovers he left his true love 10 years ago on a blind date. Emily woke before the sun peeked over the horizon as she did every day. The soft sound of Mia's giggles from the bedroom brought a smile to her face. The aroma of freshly baked bread filled the small bakery she adored, a cherished escape from the burdens of reality, the bills that piled up, the stress that weighed heavily on her shoulders. She kneaded dough with a fierce determination, her hands moving almost instinctively as she closed her eyes, allowing the scent to weave memories of happier days. Each loaf, each pastry, each cupcake was a promise for a brighter future for Mia, the little girl who danced through life with dreams of ballet slippers and twirling tutus. When she finally opened the door to her bakery, the world outside was waking up, its energy buzzing. She welcomed friendly faces, the town regulars who flocked to her for their morning treats. There was something beautiful about the way strangers became friends here, a community that held her up, even when she felt like crumbling under the weight of it all. But there was an invisible barrier. She often felt like a spectator in her own happiness. Across town, Jack was scrambling to prepare for a high-stakes charity gala meant to salvage his reputation. A titan in business, he lived wealthily in a world built on cutthroat competition. But behind that facade, he felt the unease gnawing at him, fueled by activists demanding social justice. As he rummaged through papers in his office, fate intervened. His fingers brushed against a photograph, a snapshot from a blind date he had nearly forgotten. The laughter, the chemistry felt electric. The woman in the photo was Emily. He remembered her smile, her eyes lit with passion. What had he done? The pang of regret washed over him. Struck by nostalgia, Jack decided to visit her bakery, an impulse that felt both reckless and electric. As he stepped inside, the warmth enveloped him, flour dust swirling through the sunlight, an homage to the life Emily had created. He stood silently in the corner, watching her with admiration. She was the same free spirit, the same woman whose laughter echoed in his memories. But life was far from easy for her. He noticed the shadows beneath her bright eyes, the lines of worry around her mouth. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Jack found himself approaching the counter, heart pounding. Their eyes met, and a spark ignited. It was as if 10 years melted away. Emily's heart raced. Was this the man she had once envisioned a life with? They began to talk, laughter laced with nervousness and nostalgia. But too quickly, the shadows of their lives loomed overhead. The whispers of the townsfolk about him, the looming threats to her bakery, the odds stacked against them, it all surged like a tidal wave of anxiety. In that moment, they both stood at a crossroads. Jack needed to confront his privilege and the gulf that lay between them, while Emily grappled with forgiveness and the memories of a life she could be had. As the bakery buzzed around them, the world paused. Would love conquer these obstacles, or would their pasts chain them to lives that had led them far apart? Each heartbeat was more than a promise, it was a question, one that they would have to answer together. Emily wiped her brow, remnants of flour dusting her cheek as she tried to shake off the whirlwind of emotions inside her. Jack's presence was electrifying, a reminder of a dream that felt so far out of reach. She served pastries to a cluster of customers, her smile almost automatic, her mind swirling with thoughts of their conversation. She couldn't ignore the weight of the past or how quickly her heart had leaped when she saw him. Jack watched her move gracefully through the small space, effortlessly juggling orders and conversation. Yet, beneath her poised exterior, he noticed traces of strain, a woman working too hard to keep the weight of life at bay. He admired her but couldn't shake the guilt. The life he had led, wealth, power, felt so distant from the struggles Emily faced every day. His heart ached at the thought that he had walked away, leaving her to brave this storm alone. "Emily," he ventured, his voice barely breaking through the noise of the bakery. "Can we talk?" She looked up, surprise flashing in her eyes. There was an intensity in his gaze. The laughter of children and chatter around them faded into a distant hum. "Here?" she asked, apprehensive. The warmth of the bakery suddenly felt stifling. "Right now?" "Just for a minute," he said gently. "I owe you that much and more." They stepped into a quieter corner, the aroma of fresh bread hanging in the air like a soft embrace. Emily crossed her arms, her posture defensive, 1,000 unspoken words tumbling between them like a storm. "You came back, why now?" Her voice trembled slightly, betraying the cool exterior she tried to maintain. Jack took a deep breath, his heart racing as he prepared to lay bare the thoughts that had haunted him for a decade. "I've spent so many years chasing success and ambitions, but I've realized how much I lost by letting you go." His gaze softened. "You were my chance at happiness, and I didn't even know it until now." Emily's heart cracked open, exposing a vulnerability she hadn't shown in years. "It's not that simple, Jack. You live in a world that's different from yours?" He interrupted, desperation creeping into his tone. "I know. Trust me, I've seen it firsthand. But I want to understand. I want to help. If you let me." "Help?" she echoed, skepticism lacing her voice. "How? With your money? You think that solves my problems?" "No," Jack said firmly, his intensity rising. "It's not just about the money. It's about taking responsibility for what I caused. For leaving you. For running away from something incredible." His eyes searched hers for a flicker of hope. Emily felt the weight of his words wrap around her heart. It would be easier to hate him, to keep him at arm's length. But there was a part of her that longed for the connection they once had, a flame that hadn't flickered out but lay dormant. "What do you want from me?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. "I want a chance to start over," Jack replied, sincerity etched into every word. "To make things right. To rediscover you, Emily. And to see what could happen if we faced the past together." Tension crackled in the space between them. Emily's heart beat wildly, torn between the intoxicating promise of what could be and the painful memories of what had been. Would facing the past be a healing embrace or a painful reminder? Just then, a loud crash broke the moment as one of the trays slipped from the counter, sending pastries tumbling to the ground. The moment shattered and both of them turned toward the commotion, reality returning with a loud thud. As Emily bent to clean up the mess, her thoughts whirled. Was she ready to embrace the possibility of what Jack was offering? Or would she keep her heart guarded and safe from the risks of love? The doorbell jingled, and someone new entered the bakery, a figure cloaked in mystery, their presence radiating intrigue. Emily paused, a feeling of uncertainty creeping back into her heart. What did this unexpected arrival mean for them? Would it alter the fragile thread of connection between Emily and Jack, or would it push them further apart? Emily straightened, her heart stumbling as she met the gaze of the newcomer. He was tall and rugged, with an air of confidence that filled the room, and her breath caught in her throat. There was something unnervingly familiar about him, a sense of déjà vu that tugged at her memory. Jack followed her gaze, every muscle in his body tensing. He felt the threat of a new complication looming as he recognized the man, clearly now a former colleague from his past, someone with ties to the world he had chosen to leave behind. This wasn't just anyone, it was Aaron, a fierce rival in business and someone who had been part of Jack's life in the whirlwind days of power and privilege. The bakery's warm atmosphere shifted, turning brittle with tension. Jack's instincts flared this could disrupt everything. "Emily," he whispered, his voice low, "do you know him?" "Yeah, sort of," she replied, frowning. Then, forcing a smile for the customers still milling around, she turned to him, attempting to mask her unease. Let me see what he wants. As she approached Aaron, Jack watched closely, every instinct screaming at him to step forward, to protect what he had just begun to reclaim. Emily engaged in polite conversation, her natural charm surfacing even as uncertainty flickered behind her eyes. Aaron smiled disarmingly, though Jack could sense the chill underneath it. "Emily. Long time no see," he said easily. "I heard you're running this place now. It looks great. I think I might just need one of those pastries." "Thanks," Emily replied, unsure how to navigate the sudden surge of emotions flooding in. "We've come a long way from our old days, haven't we?" The double meaning hung in the air, and Jack seethed. "I hear Jack is back in town," Aaron continued, casting a smug glance towards Jack, who had moved closer, unwilling to stay on the sidelines. "Glad to see he has found you again." Jack took a step forward, ready to confront the thread of implications. "And what's your interest in that, Aaron?" "Just curious," Aaron shrugged, feigning innocence. "It's not every day you hear a billionaire reconnects with a small-town baker." Something bitter surged inside Jack as he felt the distance between him and Emily projected in every word Aaron spoke. Emily's hand moved absently to the edge of the counter, gripping it tightly. "What are you really doing here?" she asked, shaking off the unease. "This isn't a business meeting." "Actually, it is," Aaron replied smoothly, a hint of overwhelming confidence in his voice. "I have some ideas for a project that could use your expertise, Emily. Your bakery is a hidden gem, and I know how to elevate it to the next level." Jack's blood boiled. "She doesn't need your help, Aaron." Emily glanced from Jack to Aaron, her heart racing. I appreciate the offer, but I'm okay. I'm focused on this." "Focused, sure," Aaron cut in smoothly, persuasively. "But think about it. This could change everything for you." His eyes glimmered, a calculated gleam that made her skin crawl. Jack stepped closer to Emily. He could feel the walls closing in. "Don't let him manipulate you, Emily." A moment hung heavy with unspoken words, a battle of wills that felt like it could erupt at any moment. Emily stood at the crossroads, torn between the comfort of an old flame and the fire that Jack had just sparked within her. Could she really trust Jack? What did Aaron's arrival mean for her future? The clamor in the bakery faded as their eyes locked, and the air thickened with unresolved tension. Emily's heart thrummed wildly in her chest. Was this a chance for a new beginning or a dangerous detour that could spiral out of control? Just as she sensed clarity piercing through her confusion, Aaron leaned in slightly, whispering something that made her heart race more than it should. "Consider my offer. I think you'll find I can offer much more than Jack ever could." The finality of his words struck her like a lightning bolt, leaving her breathless. What choice would she make in a moment that could define her future? Would she cling to the familiar or risk everything for something new? Emily's mind swirled. The bakery felt smaller now, as if the walls were inching closer with every heartbeat. She could hear the hum of the espresso machine in the background, the chatter of patrons becoming a distant murmur. All she could focus on was the weight of Aaron's words and the conflicting feelings they stirred within her. Jack's presence radiated urgency. He stood beside her, his strong build offering a sense of protection, but it also sent a jolt of confusion through her. Could he really be the anchor she needed as Aaron's offer hung like a fragile thread between them? "Emily," Jack said softly, his eyes pleading with hers, "you're not planning on taking him up on that, are you?" She wanted to reassure him, to tell him that she was just being polite. But the nervous flutter in her stomach betrayed her. How could she dismiss the opportunity so easily? Aaron's smooth charisma sparked a dangerous curiosity within her, and part of her couldn't shake the thought that maybe there was something bigger waiting outside her comfort zone. "I don't know," she replied finally, her voice quieter than she intended. "Oh, come on," Aaron interjected, his tone playful yet sharp. "This is your chance to shine. Think about it. Why limit yourself to the bakery when you could expand? Go bigger. This could be the breakthrough you've dreamed of. She hated how persuasive he was. The idea of growth, of stepping beyond the bakery doors into a bigger world, was alluring. Yet, that excitement was quickly muddied by the way it felt like he was pulling her away from Jack, the same man who had just rekindled something she thought she'd lost forever. Jack stirred, his frustration becoming palpable. Don't buy into his flattery, Emily, he breathed, the edge in his voice tight with worry. He's not here for your best interests. He's a businessman, first and foremost. She felt the heat in his words, and for a second, the din of the bakery faded entirely. It was just the three of them, Emily, Jack, and Aaron, with the air thick with unspoken sentiments. This was a defining moment, and somehow, she'd forgotten the reason she had started this bakery, to create a space that felt like home, filled with warmth, not threats. How much do you really know about Jack? Aaron pressed, turning the focus toward her choices. He's from a world you don't really belong to. You've created something fantastic here, but why limit your potential? Emily shifted, feeling torn between her past and the uncertain future. Maybe I want to stay here, Aaron, she countered, her voice gaining strength despite the tremors beneath. This place is my life now. Can't you see? He replied, flashing a grin that felt more predatory than friendly. You're wasting your talent. I know you can do incredible things with the right guidance. This town is too small for someone like you. That pastry shop isn't the end goal. Jack clenched his jaw beside her, clearly stung by the lack of faith in their shared vision. Emily, you seem to be forgetting something. You built this. You earned this with your talent and hard work. You are not a project to be elevated. She locked eyes with him, desperately seeking clarity in his fierce gaze. Would he fight for her? Did he want to stand by her through whatever the future held? Aaron stepped back, an amused look playing on his lips. You two have some sort of love story, huh? Sweet, but love doesn't pay the bills. Disappointment washed over Emily. The way Aaron downplayed her hard work felt like a slap in the face. Did he know the value of the love she had for her craft? She took a deep breath, her decision coiling tight in her chest. I appreciate your offer, Aaron, but I'm happy where I am. I want to keep building my dreams, right here. Jack's relief was palpable. He took a step closer. You mean that? He whispered, a slight tremor of hope in his voice. But before she could respond, Aaron leaned back in, a glint of mischief in his eyes. Well, if you think you can handle it without my expertise, that's cute. Just remember, every choice you make has consequences. And no one stays stagnant forever. With those ominous words hanging in the air, Emily felt the ground shift beneath her. What did he know about her future? The lingering questions pressed against her. Was this truly her path? And how far was she willing to go to defend it? Just then, the bell above the bakery door tinkled again, ushering in a chill that danced across her skin. This time, it felt like more than just another customer stepping in, it was fate shifting again, ready to alter the course of everything she thought she knew. Was this new presence a welcome distraction, or another layer of complexity she'd have to navigate? The bell chimed again, a clear, bright sound that echoed in Emily's ears. It pulled her mind from the heated exchange, awakening her senses to the atmosphere around her. She turned to see who had entered, half hoping for distraction, half expecting trouble. A woman stepped through the door, her presence commanding attention. Dressed in a tailored coat and high-heeled boots, she exuded confidence. Long, dark hair fell in waves around her shoulders, and Emily could immediately see she was someone important. But it was the familiar glint in her eyes that caught Emily off guard. It was someone from her past. Mara? Emily breathed, barely loud enough for herself to hear. Emily. The woman's voice rang out, bright and enthusiastic, as she crossed the threshold. Before Emily could truly process the scene, Mara was there, enveloping her in a warm hug that felt both exhilarating and alarming. It had been years since Emily had seen her, back when they were young and chasing dreams without a care in the world. Mara stepped back, taking her in with an excited grin. "I heard you opened your own bakery. I had to come and see it for myself. It looks amazing." As the two exchanged pleasantries, Emily caught sight of Aaron's fading smirk, replaced by a look of intrigue. Jack stood beside her, his brow furrowing in confusion. Emily knew she should introduce everyone, but her mind hadn't shifted fully into the memories that just resurfaced. "Mara, this is Jack, and you remember Aaron, right?" The word slipped from her lips almost automatically. Jack extended a hand, his eyes assessing. "Nice to meet you." "Likewise," Mara replied, her tone friendly but with an edge that suggested she could sense the tension in the air. "Hey, Emily." Aaron chimed in, putting on his charm like a coat. "So nice to see you've got friends coming to support you." Mara's gaze turned to Aaron, weighing him, and she smiled politely, but Emily noticed how her expression hardened slightly. "Support? You mean by trying to take her from her roots?" The undertone was there, sharp and perceptive, and Emily felt a rush of gratitude. Mara always had a knack for reading people, for sensing the friction in the air. "Actually, I was just," Aaron attempted to clarify, but Mara quickly cut him off. "No need," she said, her tone moving from friendly to fierce. "Emily and I have a lot to catch up on." She turned to Emily, her posture relaxing. "How are the pastries? I've missed your baking like crazy. That cinnamon roll recipe was a game changer." Emily couldn't help but smile, warmth spreading through her. Finally, a moment of comfort amidst the chaos. "They're better than ever, I promise. And I may have tweaked a few recipes for the better." "I'll be the judge of that," Mara replied, her tone teasing, the atmosphere lightening. But the shift was fleeting. The tension between Jack and Aaron simmered just below the surface, waiting to erupt. Emily felt dizzy with the conflicting emotions swirling around. Here was a chance to reconnect with someone who had been significant in her life and at the same time, a reminder of the choices that weighed on her. Lost in the moment, her heart raced as she realized she needed clarity. "Mara, why are you really here?" This question hung heavy in the air, echoing louder than she had intended. The question seemed to catch everyone off guard. Jack's expression shifted from protective to curious, while Aaron's smirk faded into a grimace. Mara paused, her expression becoming serious. "I came because I've heard things about you, and about Aaron. I think it's important." Suddenly, the air thickened again, and Emily sensed that whatever revelation Mara was about to share could change everything. "Important?" Emily repeated, her heart pounding. "What do you mean?" Mara opened her mouth to speak, the weight of her silence hanging heavily like the fog outside. Emily could feel the universe shifting again, a pulse of uncertainty slamming into her. What secrets were about to be revealed, and could they possibly link to the decisions looming before her? As silence reigned, the world outside her bakery seemed to blur, the clinking of dishes and low murmurs fading away. Emily braced herself, knowing this could alter the course of everything once again. Mara's expression shifted, the light in her eyes dimming slightly as she gathered her thoughts. Emily could feel the weight of anticipation pressing down on her shoulders, the bakery's comforting warmth becoming stifling. Aaron shifted his weight, clearly intrigued but anxious. Jack crossed his arms, ready to jump in if things took a turn. I don't want to stir up old ghosts," but Mara finally began, her voice low and steady. "I learned something about your boyfriend. Something that made me worry." Emily felt her stomach drop at the word boyfriend. It felt too casual, too simple to describe all the chaos that Aaron had brought into her life. "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "He was in trouble. Real trouble. Like, industry scandal kind of trouble," Mara said, her gaze unwavering. It's not just rumors. I heard whispers in the city, and I thought of you immediately. I needed to warn you. Emily's heart raced as she instinctively glanced at Aaron. He remained stoic, but she could see the tension in his jaw. What kind of trouble? She pressed, fear trickling down her spine. Financial misconduct, unethical practices, it's serious stuff, Mara replied, her eyes narrowing in concern. If you're with him, you could get dragged into it too. A chill washed over Emily, and she struggled to breathe. Her mind flickered back to the moments she and Aaron had spent together, all the warmth he had brought to her life. She wanted to trust him, to believe in the future they were creating. But doubt seeped in like a slow poison, tainting every sweet memory. You can't just drop a bomb like that and expect me to believe it without proof, Aaron interjected, his voice sharp. Do you have any evidence, Mara? Mara took a step closer, her voice softening. I don't have all the details, Aaron. But I want Emily to be safe. We both know that the world you're navigating isn't innocent. If you're involved in anything sketchy, back off, he growled, shooting daggers with his gaze. You don't know me. Emily felt a rush of anger at his defensiveness, at his need to protect himself over their relationship. Why didn't you tell me, Aaron? If you're in something like this, I deserve to know. We deserve to be open with each other, she said, her voice rising. Deserve? He retorted, eyes flashing. Emily, I was trying to keep you away from the nonsense, to keep you safe. But I swear, it's not like that. Then what is it? She snapped back. Tell me the truth, or I swear. Mara stepped in before the air could crackle with more tension. Look, I'm just trying to help. Emily, you need to decide what you want. Do you trust Aaron? Or is your instinct telling you something else? Emily's heart thudded painfully in her chest. She could feel the fabric of her reality unraveling, tugging at every connection she had formed. The thought that everything could change again made her dizzy. With a heavy breath, she turned her focus to Mara. You came here for me. But what do you hope to gain out of this? Are you trying to drive a wedge? Mara raised her hands in a placating gesture. No, Em. I truly came to warn you. You've always been special to me. The sincerity in Mara's voice struck a chord in Emily's heart. She wanted to believe it. But her eyes flicked back to Aaron, whose jaw was clenched tight, face pale. The balance was fragile, she was caught between loyalty and love, and that was an unbearable place to be. As the intensity thickened, Emily knew whatever decision she made next would reshape her future. The thought paralyzed her. What if trusting Aaron was the wrong choice? What if Mara was right? Just then, the bakery door swung open again, and the bell chimed, but this time it felt more ominous, heralding a shift she wasn't ready for. A voice she had never expected to hear called out, Emily. We need to talk. Now. Emily turned slowly, her heart racing once again, facing not just the chaos of her present, but the sudden return of her complicated past. Who was this new person, and how would they fit into the dizzying puzzle of her life? Emily's gaze locked onto the figure entering the bakery. The bright lights flickered above, casting shadows that seemed to gulp her confusion. The voice that called her name didn't belong to someone from her past she cared to see. It was Chase, her college flame, the one she said goodbye to without a clear reason. The one who had played such a role in her heart's history. Chase? She whispered, barely processing the name as it rolled off her tongue like a forgotten song. He strode toward her with an urgency that seemed to slice through the tension in the room. His hair was tousled, his shirt slightly wrinkled, but his eyes deep and penetrating brought back a flood of memories she had intentionally buried. She glanced at Aaron, whose frown deepened into a scowl, the unraveling fabric of their moment now threatened by the ghost of her past. Emily, please, Chase continued, brushing past Jack, who stood frozen. I know it's unexpected, but I really need to talk to you. What's this about? She asked, her voice steadier than she felt. Her heart pounded as if it was trying to escape the mounting chaos around her. It's about, well, everything. I've been going through some things, he said, pausing for breath. Things I didn't handle well back then. You deserved better than how I left things. Mara exchanged a glance with Emily, the concern now amplified. This isn't the time, Chase. You don't know what is going on here, she warned, stepping closer to Emily like a protective shield. Emily raised her hand to silence her friend. No, let him speak, she said, swallowing hard. She didn't know if she was ready for a confrontation or a confession, but her curiosity, mingled with old wounds, pulled her forward. Chase's eyes softened, his sincerity cutting through some of the tension. I've made a lot of mistakes. I didn't just walk away from our relationship, I walked away from everything, and I've regretted it since. I'm ready to explain. If you'll let me. Aaron stepped forward, blocking Chase's path, his expression fierce. You think you can just waltz back in after all this time and think you have any right to say anything? His voice trembled with restrained anger. She's moved on. Emily felt torn. Each word from Chase felt like a thread pulling at the fabric of her memory. She remembered the hope and the laughter, the bright dreams they had shared. But that Emily had been vibrant, innocent. Today, she held scars, lessons learned from the deeper pages of her unfolding story. Maybe this isn't the best place for this, Emily said, her voice strained. She felt like a tennis ball, bouncing back and forth between Aaron and Chase, both sides demanding her attention in agonizing ways. Let's talk somewhere else, Chase suggested, desperation in his voice. Please. This is about more than just us. I think I can help you understand what's happening. What do you mean? Emily asked, blinked back the sudden rush of tears. Could he possibly know something about Aaron's troubles that she didn't? That time you didn't hear from me, there's a reason. I wanted to protect you from my mess. But now it seems like you're entangled in something deeper, he said, glancing at Aaron. Chase's words felt heavy like stones in the pit of her stomach. She could feel the paths of her life spiraling in 1,000 directions, and the paths of loyalty, love, and truth begged for clarity. Emily opened her mouth to respond but found no words. Panic tangled with a glimmer of hope that she could somehow unravel this chaos. Let's go outside, she finally suggested, voice steadying for the first time, craving fresh air and a clear mind. She wasn't sure how this was going to end, or what truth lay on the other side, but it felt too significant to ignore. As she nodded to Aaron to follow, an uneasy feeling lingered. How deep did Chase's knowledge reach, and was the tumult of her heart about to lead her into something she couldn't escape? Everything's changing again, isn't it? Emily whispered under her breath, bracing for whatever revelation awaited them outside. A storm was brewing, and she could only hope she wouldn't drown in the flood of it. The air outside was crisp, a stark contrast to the warmth of the bakery behind them. Emily inhaled deeply, the coolness filling her lungs, giving her strength. She glanced back to see Aaron, still fuming and on the brink of confrontation. Chase was restless, shifting from one foot to the other, his hands shoved deep into his pockets. Let's walk, Emily said, breaking the silence that hung heavy between them. She felt a pull toward Chase, a magnetic force that stirred emotions she'd thought were long buried. Away from everything. As they strolled down the quiet street, the distant sounds of the bakery faded into the background, leaving only the crunch of leaves underfoot and her own racing heartbeat. She stole glances at Chase, trying to decipher the man standing before her. The familiar warmth of his presence jostled her heart, leaving her confused and vulnerable. Emily, I can't believe how much time has passed, he started, running a hand through his hair. Each day away from you felt like a year. I wanted to reach out, but I was scared. Scared of what? She asked, her voice steady even as her thoughts tumbled around like a whirlwind. Of what I would say? Or what you'd left behind? Both, I guess. I thought about you every single day. Chase paused, taking a breath. But I was drowning in my own circumstances. The pressure, the expectations, it was suffocating. I thought if I left, you would get some kind of freedom. Freedom? Emily echoed, incredulous. You left me without a goodbye. You walked away from us. What was I supposed to do with that? Chase's features tightened with regret. I know, and I'm sorry. I've carried that regret with me. He stepped closer, his eyes earnest. 8 months after I left, I learned about everything that happened to my family, the fallout from my decisions. I didn't want you to be dragged into it. I thought I was doing the right thing. Chase's words hit her like a wave, crashing against the shore of her memory. Did he really think he shielded her from hurt? Did he believe his absence was better than facing the reality of what they could have been? You think running away was the answer? She challenged, a fire igniting in her belly. What about the love we shared? You left me to pick up the pieces. I was wrong. He exclaimed, desperation etching his voice. But amidst all that chaos, I saw something that made me realize it wasn't about my fear anymore. It was about you. And now he hesitated, his gaze darting back toward the bakery, as if sensing Aaron's simmering presence. I see that you're entangled with someone else, and I have to be honest, I'm scared of losing you again. Emily's heart clenched. What was the point of attributing emotions to their shared history now? And what if Aaron was right? She moved on, hadn't she? Chase, she started but was interrupted by a commotion from the direction of the bakery. Aaron had followed. Stop tugging on her heartstrings, Chase. Aaron shouted, anger spilling out of him like a sudden storm. This isn't a game. You don't get to waltz in and pretend everything is fine. Let her speak. Chase defended, raising both hands. Emily deserves to know the truth. The tension surged between them, crackling like dry leaves in the wind. Emily felt pulled in two directions, an old flame stirring feelings of nostalgia and a current relationship that demanded her loyalty. How could she choose without knowing everything? Emily? Aaron's voice softened as he stepped closer, concern in his eyes. She blinked back tears, desperately searching for clarity. What are you two hiding from me? Her question hung heavy in the air, and the two men exchanged a loaded glance. She was standing on the precipice of a chaos she had thought she understood, but perhaps that understanding was just beginning to unravel. Emily took a deep breath, feeling more lost than before. Whatever it is, I need to know, she said firmly, her voice echoing in the silence. And I'm ready to hear it all. No more secrets, this time, I want the truth. As they exchanged glances, she could see the unspoken challenge in their eyes. Would both men finally reveal their secrets, or would she be left with even more questions? In that moment of uncertainty, all she could do was brace herself for the revelations to come, knowing they could change everything. Emily's heart raced as she waited for one of them to speak. She felt the frigid air wrap around her, sharper now that the bakery's warmth was out of reach. Anxiety gripped her stomach with a tightening squeeze. The space between the three of them felt charged, like a tightly coiled spring ready to snap. Look, let's just be honest here, Aaron finally said, his voice steady but tinged with frustration. You may think this is about love, Chase, but it's not. You made your choice. You left. Now, Emily and I have something real. Chase's eyes darkened, the flicker of pain flashing across his face. You call that real? You think moving on means pretending what we had didn't mean anything? Emily felt the weight of their words settle on her like a heavy blanket, stifling the cool air around them. She opened her mouth to respond, but no words came. What did a real relationship mean anymore? Was it about stability with Aaron, or was it the chaos and passion that inevitably came with Chase? Listen, I'm not here to fight, Chase said, his voice softer now, more vulnerable. I just want Emily to know how I feel. We had something special, and I truly believed it was worth fighting for. Emily's pulse quickened as she looked between the two men, both of them representing parts of her that felt impossibly intertwined. Memories of laughter and long talks with Chase swirled in her mind, laughter that drowned out all other noise and made the world feel full. Then there was Aaron, the steady presence, the one who made her feel safe. But did safety equate to love? Emily, please. You deserve to know the truth. Chase edged closer, his voice a whisper, almost fragile. There are things I never explained, things I kept from you because I thought it would protect you. Protect me from what? Emily's voice cracked as she faced him, a mix of emotions swirling within her. What else is there? You think I don't deserve that now? Chase's eyes softened, the stern lines of his face easing. I thought we were safe from the storm. My family was a mess, and we had no idea how deep it ran. I thought leaving was the only way to save you, to keep you from being pulled into that darkness. Emily recoiled slightly, her heart pounding. So, you put distance between us because you thought it would help me? You think I could do this without you? Without your support? I made mistakes, Chase admitted, desperation creeping into his voice. And I see that now. I never wanted to break your heart, but I didn't think things would go so far south so fast. The realization hit Emily hard. She felt torn apart at the seams. What do you mean, so far south? What did you do? Aaron stepped forward, sensing the shift in her tone. Emily, you need to think about this. You have feelings for both of us right now, and that's okay. But don't forget what Chase did. Can you really trust him again? Chase shot a glance at Aaron, defending not only himself but Emily too. I just need her to understand. If she knew about my family, the connection with your father, it all ties back to why I thought leaving was the answer. Tension hung in the air, each word heavy with consequence. Emily's mind raced, each sentence leading to an abyss of unspoken feelings. Would the truth draw her closer to Chase or push her further away? Is it over between us, Chase? Because if I'm going to unravel all these threads, I need to know. The uncertainty of her words hung in the air, waiting for an answer that could redefine everything. Chase opened his mouth, ready to speak, but Emily's phone buzzed in her pocket, jolting her from the moment. It was a message from someone unexpected, and she felt the ground shift beneath her feet again. She hesitated before pulling it out. Was it a message that would change her course yet again? Emily, no secrets, Aaron said, his concern unwavering as he watched her expression shift. Torn between the past and the future, the weight of the moment pressed down hard. With one glance at her phone, she knew her life was on the brink of another twist. Would the coming revelation bring clarity, or would it send her tumbling into chaos once more? Emily took a deep breath, her heart pounding as she read the text on her phone. It was from her mother, the words a simple yet potent reminder of where she came from. We're worried about you. Love you. Just seeing those words, those familiar letters, sent a wave of calm through her stormy thoughts. Emily? Chase's voice broke through her moment of clarity. Are you okay? She looked up, and for the first time in this chaos, she saw the faces of the men in front of her clearly. One was the ghost of her past, vulnerable yet regretful, and the other was a current flame, fierce and protective. But what did it matter now? She felt the strength of roots pulling her back to her true self, and she forced herself to steady her voice. I need to be honest. Not just with you, but with myself, she said, the weight of the moment settling over her like a heavy quilt. Chase, I can't go back to who I was. I want to pretend that your past doesn't affect us now. But I owe it to myself to confront these feelings. Chase's face softened, understanding lining his features. I never wanted to drag you into my mess. But it feels like when I think of our time together, I have to recognize that I left that behind without considering what it would do to you. And you think just saying that now can fix everything? Aaron interjected, sharpness returning to his tone. You walked away. I stepped in because I believed Emily deserved the chance to move forward. Her heart sank as she witnessed the tension escalate between them. Stop! She exclaimed, standing her ground. You both need to understand that my feelings can't be treated like a competition. Aaron, you didn't fill the void Chase left. Instead, you brought your own complexities. And Chase, you can't erase the hurt by just stating your regrets after all this time. For the first time, it felt as though Emily was stepping into her own power. The shadows that had lingered too long were starting to recede. I can't choose between you, she admitted, her voice steady but laced with emotion. What you both mean to me is deeply intertwined with what I've been through. I need space to rediscover myself before I can even think about what's next. Jack moved closer, his earlier resolve faltering as he recognized the tenuous lines of her emotions. Emily, this isn't just about him blaming himself or me standing here. You deserve someone who won't run when things get difficult, he said, genuinely concerned. And I deserve clarity, she shot back, meeting his gaze. Both of you have your baggage. I can't rush this process, or I'll just find myself back in the dark. I'm scared of repeating past mistakes. Chase rubbed his forearm nervously. I can't undo my decisions, but I can support you, Emily. If you want me in your life, I'll be better, I swear it. And what does that mean? Emily challenged, taking a step back as if the distance made the weight of his words feel heavier. Do you want to play the hero now after abandoning me when I needed you most? Mara stepped forward, breaking the tension as she placed a hand on Emily's shoulder in reassurance. You both need to give her space. She deserves a moment of peace to find what's truly right for her. The door of the bakery swung open, startling everyone. A teenage girl entered, carrying a bright bouquet of flowers, her expression wide-eyed. I'm looking for Emily. Everyone turned to her, Emily's heart leaping in recognition. It was one of her regular customers' daughter, a sweet kid who often came in to help decorate the bakery and share dreams of opening her own place. Why, what's going on? The girl asked, glancing between the three men and Emily, but her gaze quickly fell to the vibrant flowers in her hands. I wanted to give you these. They're for you. I think you're amazing. Emily felt joy erupt inside her, instantly diffusing the tension. The warmth of the vibrant flowers reflected the colors in her heart, revitalizing something deep within her. Thank you, sweetie. They're beautiful. She exclaimed, stepping forward. The simple act of kindness melted away some of the heaviness in her heart. Is everything okay? Her young friend asked again, concern etching her voice. Emily knelt to the girl's level, touched by her genuine care. It will be. I'm figuring things out. You know how life can get messy sometimes. The girl nodded, her youthful understanding spilling forth as she casually mentioned, just like baking. You have to mix everything and sometimes, it doesn't come out right. But when you do it right it's magic. That's a great way to look at it, Emily smiled, the reminder of her own strength rekindling. She realized perhaps she was the one in control of making something beautiful out of this uncertainty. As she stood, she turned back to Chase and Aaron. I'll decide how I want to move forward. But right now, I need my space to figure it out. And that also means focusing on my bakery and Mia, she said, her voice firm. They both seemed to take a breath as they processed her words. Chase's expression shifted from desperation to understanding. If you need time, then that's what you should take. I'll wait for that chance. I'm here, too, Aaron said, softer now, the protective edge mellowing. I just want you stable and happy, Emily. But I wish you'd let me back in sooner. In that moment, with a bouquet of flowers in hand and community surrounding her, Emily felt both the weight and relief of freedom. She couldn't promise either man anything, but she could promise herself that she would find her own magic again. Before they could say more, the bell above the bakery door jingled again, and a graceful figure stepped inside, a burst of light that captured everyone's attention. Emily's eyes widened. It was Mia, her little girl, twirling into the bakery with her carefree spirit. The sight of her filled Emily's heart, love echoing loudly against the uncertainty surrounding her. "Mama! Look what I learned to do." As Mia posed with a pirouette, laughter erupted from within Emily, cutting through the tension that had encased them. Life was messy, yes. But here, in her bakery, surrounded by her community, she felt a flicker of hope that fueled her resolve. This was where she belonged, crafting her own future: flour, sugar, and love. And amid uncertainties, she would navigate her relationships on her terms. With Mia's vibrant giggles echoing and the bouquet in hand, Emily embraced the moment, ready to find joy amidst the mix and create something truly spectacular one day at a time. So with the weight lifted and the warmth of love filling her heart, she smiled brightly at her daughter and the world ahead, knowing she was ready to take on whatever came next. And just as light began to fill the bakery, that ringing of laughter melted the fractured moments shared, each now faded into the backdrop of what would be a brighter tomorrow. Now you need to make a choice. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this ending. And share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to show your support. Only true fans understand the importance of backing this channel through these actions.